Amplified Bible, Classic Edition, AMPC. Judges 9. Now Amalek, son of Jerubbaal, Gideon went to Shechem to his mother's kinsmen and said to them, and to the whole clan of the mother's family, Say, I pray you, in the hearing of the men of Shechem, which is better for you, that all the 70 of the sons of Jubal reign over you, and that one man rule over you. Remember also that I am your bone and your flesh. And his mother's kinsmen spoke all these words concerning him in the hearing of all the men of Shechem, and their hearts inclined to follow Achiram. For they said, He is our brother. And they gave him 70 pieces of silver out of the house of Baal, Berith, and which Amalek hired worthless and foolhardy men who followed him. And he went to his father's house at Elprah, and slew his brothers, the sons of Jubal, 70 men on one stone. But Jotham, the youngest son of Jubal, was left, and he hid himself. And all the men of Shechem gathered together, and all of the Milo, and they went and made Amalek king by the oak tree by the pillar of Shechem. When it was told to Jotham that, he went and stood at the top of Mount Gerizim and shouted to them, Hear me, men of Shechem, that God may hear you. One time the trees went forth to anoint a king over them, and they said to the olive trees, Reign over us. But the olive trees said to them, Should I leave my fatness by which God the man are honored, and go and wave over the trees? Then the trees said to the fig tree, You come and reign over us. But the fig trees said to them, Should I leave my sweetness and my good fruit, and go and wave over the trees? Then the trees said to the grapevine, You come and reign over us. And the grapevine replied, Should I leave my new wine, which rejoices God and man, and go and wave over the trees? Then the trees said to the bramble, You come and reign over us. And the bramble said to the trees, If in good faith you are anointing me king over you, then you come and take refuge in my shade. But if not, let fire come out of the bramble and devour the cedars of Lebanon. Now therefore, if you are acted sincerely and honorably when you made Amalek king, and if you have dealt well with Jubal and the house, and have done to him as his deeds deserved, for my father fought for you, jeopardized his life, and rescued you from the hand of Midian, and you have risen up against my father's house this day, and have slain his son, 70 men on one stone, and have made Amalek, son of the maidservant, king over the people of Shechem, because he is your kinsman. If you have acted sincerely and honorably with Jubal and his house this day, then rejoice in Amalek, and let him also rejoice in you. But if not, let fire come out of Amalek, and devour the people of Shechem and Beth Millo. And let fire come out of the people of Shechem and Beth Millo, and devour Amalek. And Jotham ran away and fled, and went to Beer, and dwelt there for fear of Amalek his brother. Amalek reigned 3 years over Israel, and God sent an evil spirit between Amalek and the men of Shechem, and the men of Shechem dealt treacherously with Amalek, that the violence done to the severity 70 sons of Jubal might come, and that their blood might laid upon Amalek, their brother, who slew them, and upon the men of Shechem, who strengthened his hands to slay his brothers. And the men of Shechem set men in ambush against Amalek on the mountaintops, and they robbed all who passed by along the way, and it was told by Amalek. And Gaal the son of Ebed came and the kinsmen and moved into Shechem, and the men of Shechem put confidence in him. And they went out into the field, gathered their vineyard fruits, and trod them, and held a festival, and going to the house of their God, and ate and drank, and cursed Amalek. Gaal, son of Ebed, said, Who is Amalek, and who are we of Shechem, that we should serve him? We're not the son of Jabal and Zebul, his officers, servants, and honors of father and the founder of Shechem. Then why should we serve them? Would that this of the people under my hand, that then would I remove Amalek and say to him, Increase your army and come out. When Zebul and the city's mayor heard the words of Gaal, son of Ebed, his anger was kindled. And he sent a message to Amalek, saying, Behold, Gaal, son of Ebed, and the kinsmen have come to Shechem, and behold, they stir up the city to rise against you. Now therefore rise up by night, you and your men with you, and lie in wait in the field. Then the morning, as soon as the sun is up, rise early and set upon the city. And when Gaal and his men with him come out against you, do to them as opportunity permits. And Amalek rose up by night, and all the men with him, and they laid in wait against Shechem in 4 companies. And Gaal, son of Ebed, came out and stood in the entrance of the city's gate. The Amalek and the men with him rose up from ambush. When Gaal saw the men, he said to Zebul, Look, men are coming down from the mountaintops. Zebul said to him, The shadows of mountains looks to you like men. And Gaal spoke again and said, See, men are coming down from the center of the land, and one company is coming from the direction of Og and Miriam, the sorcerers. And said to Zebul and Gaal, Where is your big mouth now, you who said, Who is Amalek, that we should serve him? Are not these the men who you served to despise? Go out now and fight with them. And Gaal went out ahead of the men of Shechem and fought with Amalek. And Amalek chased him, and he fled before him, and many fell wounded, even the entrance of the gate. And Amalek lodged in Armah, and Zebul thrust out Gaal and his kinsmen, so they could not live in Shechem. The next day the men went out into the fields, and Amalek was told. He took his men and divided them in 3 companies and laid them in wait in the field, and looked, and behold, the people were coming out of the city. And he rose up against them and smote them. And Amalek and the company of him rushed forward and stood in the entrance of the city's gate, while the 2 other companies rushed upon all who were in the field and slew them. And Amalek fought against the city in a day. He took the city and slew the people who were in it. He demolished the city and sowed it with salt. And when all the men of the tower of Shechem heard of it, they entered the stronghold of the house of Elbereth, the god of Bereth. Amalek was told that the people of the tower of Shechem were gathered together. And Amalek went up to Mount Zion, and he and all the men with him. And Amalek took an axe in his hand and cut down a bundle of brush, picked it up and laid it upon the shoulder, and he said to the men with him, What have you seen me do? Make haste to do also. See, each of the men cut down the bundle, and following Amalek put it against the stronghold and set the stronghold on fire over the people in it. So the people in the tower of Shechem who died, about 1,000 men and women. Then Amalek went to Thebez and encamped against Thebez and took it. And there was a strong tower in the city, and the people of the city, men and women, fled to it and shut themselves in and went to the roof of the tower. And Amalek came to the tower and fought against it and drew near the door and the tower to burn it with fire. But the certain woman cast an upper milestone down upon Amalek's head and broke his skull. Then he called hastily to the young men, to his armor bearer, and said to them, Draw your sword and slay me, so that men may not say of me, A woman slew me. And his young man thrust him through, and he died. And when the men of Israel saw that Amalek was dead, they departed each man to his home. Thus God repaid the wickedness of Amalek which he had done to his father Gideon, by slaying his 70 brothers. And all the wickedness of the men of Shechem God repaid upon the heads of caused to come upon them the curse of Jotham son of Jabbal.